Hi, everybody. It's a pleasure and privilege to be with you here today. And I want to talk about my project called Shallow Meritocracy. It starts from the observation that meritocratic fairness is at the heart of our Western political and economic culture. Meritocracy means that people should be rewarded according to their merit. And one thing that's really important when we talk about merit is effort, is hard work. People who work harder typically are viewed as more deserving. So hard work really is relevant from the perspective of a meritocracy. What's supposed to be irrelevant, however, are circumstances, things we do not have control over, such as whether we have poor or rich parents, our race, our gender. These things are not supposed to matter in a meritocracy. But this distinction between hard work, between effort, choices, and circumstances is clouded by a fundamental observation in the social sciences. People respond to the environment they're in. They respond to the incentives they face in life, to the opportunities they have. Circumstances strongly shape effort choices, labor market choices, educational choices. So I think this raises a fundamental question to the idea of meritocratic fairness and meritocracy, namely, whether we want to hold others responsible for their choices, even when these choices are shaped by external, unfair circumstances. And this is the question that I want to tackle in this project. I want to understand the prevailing conception of meritocratic fairness. And in order to do so, I'm going to study how a sample representative of the US population approaches this problem. I need the tight control of an experimental setup in order to identify the effect of interest. And I do this as follows. I hire workers on a crowdworking platform, and these workers work on a standardized task. The effort choice is how many tasks they decide to solve. The circumstance is the random piece rate they are in, which can either be high or low, determined by a lottery. In the data, I see that workers work much more for a high piece rate, so their effort choice is highly endogenous to the environment. I match workers into pairs, one worker with a high piece rate, one worker with a low piece rate, and I refer to them as A and B. A is the one with a high piece rate, B with a low piece rate. This is the situation that I want to be evaluated. Evaluators are recruited from the general US population, 650 in total, and I call them spectators because they observe the situation between the two workers. I inform them about all details, including effort choices and circumstances. Spectators can then redistribute earnings between the two workers, take money away from one worker, give it to the other worker. They can do so at no cost. And thereby they decide which reward the two workers deserve. They make a merit judgment, conditional on choices, conditional on circumstances. And this is the central outcome variable of the study. And I want to understand whether these merit judgments take into account that choices respond to circumstances. In order to answer the question, I need a between-subject manipulation. Some spectators are assigned to a control condition. Others are assigned to a treatment condition. In both conditions, worker A earns the high rate and worker B is randomly assigned the low rate. In the control condition, however, they do not know about these final rates yet. They just know about the lottery, and it's identical for both of them. So they have identical expectations. They make their choices on a level playing field. Their choices are directly comparable because they are made in the same environment. In the treatment condition, workers also know about the lottery, but I directly tell them about their realized rate, about the outcome of the lottery. Worker A knows that he earns the high rate. He's encouraged. Worker B knows that he only earns the low rate, so he's discouraged by the environment and additionally disadvantaged. So in the treatment condition, but not in control condition, effort choices are differentially endogenous, and the question is whether spectators take this into account. Do they compensate the disadvantaged worker more in treatment than in control? Do they compensate him for the discouragement of the low piece rate? The results provide a clear answer. Spectators' merit judgments are fully insensitive to the endogeneity of choices. Across conditions, I do not find a difference in merit judgments. And the large sample size allows me to rule out even tiny effect sizes. This is a highly precise null result. So spectators do not compensate the disadvantaged worker for the fact that he is discouraged by the environment. This is the reason why the paper is called Shallow Meritocracy. Meritocratic fairness argues that circumstances are not supposed to matter, but unequal circumstances lead to unequal choices, and people are held responsible for these choices. So choices can launder circumstances, can legitimize the resulting inequality. That's the main finding of the paper. The paper contains many more details, robustness checks and experiments, structural model of fairness views, lots of details on the behavioral mechanism, and I try to tackle the issue of external validity in a vignette study with real-world labor market scenarios. Feel free to reach out. I'm happy about any comment, question, suggestion via email. Thanks a lot for your attention today. It's been a pleasure.